Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Sir Cypher here with Let's Play Wargame Airland Battle. Somebody posted a couple of replays in the thread of one of them was a Conquest game, and I thought it was pretty cool. So I'm going to cast that, and while I was watching it, it actually made me kind of excited. I actually never really played Conquest much when the game type came out. In case you don't know, the standard game type in Wargame Airland Battle is destruction, and which it's basically like the campaign. You have to kill X number of enemy points of units, while you have to try to prevent your own units from being killed. Conquest is a little bit different in that you control these territories, and you can see they're not worth as many points as they would be in a destruction game. But as long as you have more points than your enemy, your ticker ticks up. And once you get to whatever it's set to, you win. This is set to 300, which is actually pretty low. But this is kind of a small map. There's not that many points. So it doesn't, it tends to work out okay. Now my ally is mainly a French deck. I think he might be all French. And I am playing my, I am playing my Conquest deck, which is an all NATO 1975 deck. So basically all units you get double availability, but you can only take units that were produced by or at 1975. And the reason I do this deck is because unlike Conquest, unlike Destruction, it doesn't really matter how many guys you lose. So I just like having lots of guys, and I just throw them at the enemy relentlessly. And usually it's just hard for them to keep up because my units are so cheap. His guys will start running out of ammo and different things. And it works okay. Over here we have an East German deck. And this guy who is facing sort of my ally is Russian. And you can see here, pretty standard stuff. We have some helicopters and things. And we can speed it up a little bit. So surprisingly, actually, NATO I think works out better if you're trying to make a pre-1975 deck. I think NATO works out a lot better than the Warsaw Pact. A lot of NATO's good stuff is actually pre-1975. You get some good choices, I think, way better than you get with all Warsaw Pact. So yeah, you don't get super good stuff. But yeah, so you see here the two linchpins of this deck are light rifles and 5-point infantry. 5-point infantry is really bad normally. Not normally, it is really bad. Here we have the Tomcat. Tomcats are actually pre-1975, and they're pretty cool. You see here this MiG-29 tried to cause some ruckus, but my Tomcat chases it off. The Tomcat's range is it's not a dogfighter. It's basically a missile boat. See here my Skyhawks flying around trying to mess with these guys. It's basically a missile boat, and it just sits at long range around your base and shoots missiles really far. So in a dogfight, it's not really very good, but it's pretty good at just kind of like covering the whole zone. My Skyhawks getting shot at here. These are like these are pretty crappy fighters. They just have guns and air-to-ground rockets. Trying to shoot some of his helicopters, but I think I managed to get one of them. But yeah, flies into a bunch of rockets here. Now the enemy got here a little bit before me, but I just unload basically all of my reservists, who are only 5-point French infantry. I unload some of them back here because they're actually a lot less vulnerable if they're walking. So, because they won't instant die, like they can't get hit by ATGMs and stuff if they're walking, and they have better cover. So, this looks like a lot of guys, but really this is only like maybe 40 points worth of guys, 50 points worth of guys, something like that. Right up here. So, it looks intimidating, but it's really not that many guys. And it's really, the whole point is just to make the enemy waste their time fighting them. You see here, though, what is good against them is a bomber, and you see they just get mad bombs dropped from the two Su-24s. They kill all these reservists. But again, not really that big of a deal. The whole point was just to kind of distract them. Now, and because this is destruction, or because this is confrontation, or conquest, you don't actually have to worry about your trucks living. So I just throw my trucks at the enemy to make them waste ammo. Especially ATGMs and tank rounds. It's, you know, why not make them waste ammo? Now, the real teeth of this deck is actually light rifles. Light rifles are just a normal infantry squad. They're very similar to American rifles. They have a little bit better machine gun, but they have the Dragon ATGM, which is not a super good ATGM, but it allows them to engage a lot of enemy units at range that they shouldn't be able to. So you can just have your light rifles just advance, and they'll just stop and shoot ATGMs at things. Now the problem is normally they'd be getting hammered, but the trick to this deck is you normally just have a giant screen of trucks and reservists constantly marching towards the enemy. So you just feed them into their maw, and then they're too busy about stopping these guys that they normally don't fight the light rifles till afterwards. You can see here I keep calling up more and more reservists back here to feed into the mall. Over here, my ally is doing a pretty good job here. He's gotten a helicopter here in the enemy reinforcement zone. He's got this mountain pretty much covered. So this zone is going to be pretty useless pretty soon. And he's got troops all through the middle. And he's firing across because not much is going on up here, so he can just sort of shoot across into this battle. And you see here the Tomcats still flying around. This deck actually has 4 Tomcats. So in a larger game, I might have like 2 flying around, but for this game, it's not that large. I'm not that super worried about enemy air, so I just have the 1 Tomcat flying around. But it's good to see if you have multiple, so you can have one, they can alternate, so you always have some air cover. So you can see here the light rifles, they have the ATGMs, but they do just fine. They're pretty competitive against normal infantry. Like Moto shoots in. Here you have my ally dropping napalm on this forest, help me out, and I'm dropping bombs on these Moto shoots in. This is the Heavy Hog. It's actually a pretty good helicopter. A lot of decks from any time period will contain it because it's a really cheap option that has rockets, and it has I believe about a 2,000, an almost 2,000 meter gun that is pretty good. The things, and it's pretty cheap, so it's good in a pinch. It can fly around and harass infantry, shoot rockets at infantry in towns. And if the enemy manages to take it out, it's not really a super big deal. It's only, I think, 40 points. So right now it's shooting rockets at these East German commandos. You see here, when it turns purple, it means that 2 squads of infantry are in the same zone and they're fighting each other out. Obviously, my reservists aren't going to do too well because they have bolt-action rifles, which are not known for their urban warfare capabilities. But here we have some light rifles coming to back them up. And then we have a whole nother crop of reservists who just got dropped off. And their trucks are already heading forward through this wheat field to suck a few more ATGMs. You see here, this thing is out of rockets, the Heavy Hog, so it's shooting its Mark 19. Well, it's actually not a Mark 19, but it's a 40mm grenade launcher. It probably is similar grenades to the Mark 19. Now, the enemy does have radar AA back here, but it's pretty far away, so it can't actually deal with my Heavy Hog. And most things that can kill the Heavy Hog are actually more expensive. My Skyhawk flies over here to snipe an enemy recon chopper. You see here we have another Heavy Hog flying in here. Now, interestingly enough, I have my Chinook healing these guys, but in reality, most of the time in Conquest games, it's not worth healing your units. It's worth rearming them, especially if they don't have a lot of ammunition. It's something like ATGMs. But, I mean, this Chinook is 65 points. I could have just called in, you know, for that amount of money, I could have just called in 4 more squads of light rifles. So it's usually not worth it. But old habits die hard. So I like to keep all my troops supplied. Here we have more grenades coming in from the Heavy Hog, chasing these commandos out of this town, while my French supply trucks come up to waste these guys' ammo. The normal transport trucks, unlike supply trucks, the supply trucks enemies won't. I think the default AI is to not fire on supply trucks, because if you're because otherwise there'd be no way to capture it. Your troops would shoot at it as they're walking up to it. But they automatically shoot at the transport trucks. And in Conquest mode with 5-point infantry, it's actually, I think, a little broken. Because if you go up with 20 or 30 trucks, especially because the enemy, you know, might miss his truck getting shot at from all angles, the enemy wastes a lot of ammo, and it's completely worth it. Half the time I think they waste more ammo on the trucks than they do on the guys inside. So here I have my reservists, slowly but surely marching up here. Something's wrong with that guy's, it's not on his back right there, that missile launcher. You see these commandos are pretty tenacious, but we're pushing them back. Over here, my allies still got a good grip there. For whatever reason, this guy hasn't put a command vehicle in this area. Maybe my ally keeps killing it or something. But we're basically tied, so it's fine, and we're pushing them out of this zone. Slowly but surely. It's kind of funny because the reservists do have bolt-action rifles, but for their animation for firing, they fire them like submachine guns. They don't fire one shot at a time. Now, of course, the enemy is dropping all kinds of bombs and stuff on my reservists, but again, they're 5 points each. It just doesn't even remotely matter. This deck has almost 200 squads of 5-point infantry, so it doesn't even almost. I don't think I've ever ran out of cheap infantry to use as screens before the game has been over. So my reservists keep moving up. Now their trucks are moving up well. We have more reservists here, and now I finally had enough points after I called in the next wave of reservists to now get more light infantry, and some tows and some cobras and other stuff. So now we have some ATGMs here, so we can start pushing these guys back. And again, you don't really need anything good in a deck like this. It's more about just weight of it's more of just about weight of fire. You just throw so much stuff at them that the enemy just can't really keep up with it. You see how these tanks are out of ammo for their machine guns because they've been shooting at so many reservists. It's kind of funny. So the Chieftain Mark 5 is a older version of the Chieftain Mark 10, which is the sort of like best sort of midline British tank, actually NATO tank too. I mean, it's actually pretty good for I think it's 45 points. Now, if I was playing a little better, I would have probably moved the command vehicle here to this forest so I could contest this zone, and we would start winning. But while I was playing, it was pretty obvious that we were winning. My ally had this whole zone here. If the enemy had taken that zone and we were losing points, I probably would have taken it. but I was pretty sure we were going to push these guys out. Now, one bad thing about reservists is they actually don't have a machine gun, so they can't actually engage enemy infantry at range. In this game, the normal infantry rifles only go to about 500 meters or less. I don't know if there's any actually that go less than 500 meters, but machine guns are the things that reach out to about 1,000 yards. Reservists don't actually have one. So they can't really respond to things like these motor shoots and shooting at them. But again, it doesn't really matter. They'll run out of ammunition eventually. Now I've got some chieftains here. I think I've even got some like tow vehicles coming up here. Yeah, more chieftains, more tow vehicles. And my ally is being nice because nothing that much is really going on his side. So he's helping me by giving a little fire support here from the east bank of this river. So yeah, you see there my trucks mixed along my tanks. The enemy targeting AI, if it sees the truck first, it's going to shoot the truck first. I mean, in a really sort of hectic game like this, you wouldn't have time to micro that. So yeah, you just keep more trucks being thrown at the enemy here. As my troops sort of cruise through this forest. You see his command vehicle is way there peeking at the edge of the forest. But there's about 200 infantry running through this area. So it would be tough for him to stop it. Now, the reason I use this deck is because in Conquest, you actually pretty much have to attack. Unless you're in a pretty good position, like this guy, where you've kind of secured the enemy zone. And even though he has it secured, if the guy brought a command vehicle in here, he'd have to attack. You basically have to know how to attack things. And I'm not very good at attacking. Like, I'm not very good at using smoke and concealment and all those things. So my strategy is pretty much like to just throw stuff at the enemy that you can afford to lose. I mean, you have more stuff behind that you can also afford to lose, like these Cobras, but that have ATGMs and things that can actually kill stuff. Here I'm just landing. I'm landing my super. I'm landing my super Chinooks here because I thought, why not? I was hoping I could land them something next to them and then blow them up with an airstrike or something. But anyway, the guy over here surrenders because he knows he's about to get pushed out of this zone by my relentless tide of conscripts. His ally starts sending stuff over here to help, but I think shortly after, his ally gives up as well. And there we finally kill the thing, and we win. I think the funny part of this, though, is that when I looked at the score, I definitely did not expect this. That we won, but not only did we win, I got a better like kill-loss ratio than I get most of the time in total destruction games, even though I was just throwing stuff at the enemy. So I don't know. I might actually try this deck in a normal destruction game. But anyway, this is just if you don't have this game, I thought I'd show a couple multiplayer videos so you get an idea of different kinds of decks. The decks that are in the campaign are pretty normal. They're not very exciting. But online, everybody uses weird gimmick decks. So this is my confrontation gimmick deck. So thank you for watching. Have a nice day.